Good afternoon, Barbadians. Good afternoon.
Yes, Mr. Stuart.
Just want to say how happy I am to be here in Independence Square. This square has a deep history for Barbadians. Barbaro, the man who brought us independence, but now we can see that our independence is under attack. And we have a country where politicians could come out and say that they're going to replace Independence Day with Barbados National Day. When you check over in China, the Chinese celebrate National Day. When you check countries who practice dictatorships, they celebrate National Day. So I want to read a quick quote from a clinical psychologist, and it goes something like this. It is okay to be who I am. Unmasking the self requires a certain kind of realization that validates that it's perfectly okay to be who I am. Too many people try to convince us that it's not good enough to be our true self, and that in order to be fully accepted, we must alter our self-state to reflect someone we are not. Individuals who mask often fall prey to such views and frequently find themselves trapped behind the mask they wear, knowing that we are not perfect and that those who we are reflects a combination of strengths and weaknesses, personal victories and failures, feelings of hope, and at times feelings of helplessness and the like. This will put us in a position where we're able to face the reality of who we are. If we, on the other hand, try to deny the human realities, we will never be comfortable with accepting who we are. Remember, you cannot hope to be ever comfortable with yourself if you are trapped in denying the realities of your true self-state. While it may be more convenient to mask our personal insecurities, it really does us no benefit, no material benefit in the long run. There will come a time when the true colors of who we are will come to light. That is the time when we not only see the damage we do to our personal integrity, but also to the many who would have been deceived by our actions. And that is a very true and powerful quote, and it reflects the state of Barbados, and it reflects the state of those persons who knowingly went and voted the government back in 2011 twice. During the COVID period, in the height of a so-called pandemic, which turned out to be a scandemic, we had a general election in Barbados, and there was no need to call an election, and we heard statements coming up saying Barbados is divided. We need one party. We need one government with one leader. That was one of the most dangerous statements any leader of a democratic country can make. Our people still went out there and voted. It was the lowest turnout we ever had, but they ended back up with 30 seats. This thing went so far that a government can bar the democratic rights of Barbadians, saying that if you had COVID, you could not vote. That is not what the riots in the 1930s was about. That was not what universal suffrage was about, barring people from exercising their democratic right to vote. But that is what happened in Barbados. And still, we have people who will get up and sing the songs and praises of those who oppress them. But Arabara asks, what kind of mirror image do you have of yourself? How do you see yourselves as a people? We sat by from day one, accepted deception and called it good government. We called it boss government, bright government. Oh, and this body's the boss. From day one, the boss can sign a contract with White Oaks for $54 million without a cabinet in place. No cabinet was in place when they signed that White Oak deal. Barbados was featured in international media for overpaying White Oaks for fees, criticizing it, saying that they're paying too much. Barbados, 166 square miles, had the most expensive debt restructuring in the world. More expensive than Greece, more expensive than Argentina, Romania, all of the African countries in the world. Barbados had the most expensive restructuring. We had politicians coming up saying, we got a great deal on White Oaks. The kickback from White Oaks might have been a good deal. But the people did not benefit. And part of that restructuring, and that's the reason why we're here to protest this NAS, they wrote off billions of dollars from the NAS fund, stroke of a pen. And then we have a professor coming up saying that to repay the NAS will be to devalue the dollar. The IMF and all of its reports said the government of Barbados has to recapitalize that NAS. They said it from the first IMF report. They have to pay it back. They also said that the government owes the Central Bank of Barbados $1.6 billion that they have to recapitalize for the debt restructuring. Is that going to devalue the dollar too? They're only talking about the NAS, but they did not say that they wrote off $1.6 billion from the Central Bank. And the IMF stipulated to them, you have to recapitalize both of those institutions. But then he will come and say that it's devaluing the dollar. If the money was in there, the dollar wouldn't have been devalued. They, in all of their smartness, invited an actuary to Barbados in the middle of COVID. Spent the people's money so well during COVID, lean the NAS fund, extend the severance payments to stop Barbadians from benefiting from severance, told the business owners in Barbados that they could keep the NAS, and use the parliament of this country to collapse the NAS, instructed an actuary to do an actuary review on the institution that they just collapsed, and expected to show that the NAS is performing. Cronyism. So this move has been engineered to do what they're doing now. Check across the world. Every time they're about to attack a country's pension system, they use the same rhetoric.
All the time, family.
Aging population.
That's right. Young coming into the public sector.
Low youth unemployment.
Yes.
Oh, we need to act now to save it. They did it all over the world.
Yes.
They did it all over the world. Lead the fund during COVID and set a bright actuary to tell you, well, the fund is not in good stead. What do you expect when the government just leaned it? So I am saying to you, you continually see the deception. They're showing you exactly who they are. And we need to show them who we are.
How you want them out? How do you want them out?
Well, we have to work until we die. They are sitting in cabinet. Do you know that the ministers of this government had 3 consecutive pay raises since they came to power? And they received a 37% increase in their pay and compensation since they came into power. 37. The 4% that they got
But we ain't put ministers in power.
when they sold us out, when they protest all over Bristol with the business owners for 23%, then came in and accepted 4%. Then they got some other measly 6% increase. Then they increased their allowances another 16%. So the numbers are adding up. Their pay is going up and going up and going up and going up. But they say to you, you have to work longer. Don't expect any NHS benefits later. And then you got ministers coming up defending this crap. You could believe this is where we are in 2023. If we went by the words that we heard marching all over Barbados, Barbados should be the most prosperous island, not even in the Caribbean, but in the world. But it was always for self-service. It was always for enrichment. It was always for global prominence.
So the MPs betrayed me.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The MPs betrayed the people.
During COVID, the government passed the Emergency Management Act and put a clause in that bill to say that the Cabinet of Barbados vests within itself the power and authority to make any decision in Barbados whatsoever, financial or otherwise. These members then turned around and passed a clause to say that Cabinet now vests all of that power into the office of the Prime Minister, that the Prime Minister may make any decision whatsoever without the check and balance of Parliament or the check and balance of Cabinet. So we had the most useless Cabinet ever in the history of Barbados. By law, they voted for their own neutering.
The MPs betrayed the people. The members of Parliament betrayed the people.
The MPs cut their own gonads out. So I am saying to you, the people, we need to cut them out because they are not for us.
That's right. That's right.
They have been taken over. They don't work for us anymore. There are no public records that the people of this country can look back during COVID and say the government did this or spent this in our benefit. Since December 2021, the IMF instructed this country to publish all public contracts in the corporate registry so that the people of this country can have a financial trail as to how the government spent this money. This is 2023 and not a single government contract is in that office.
And the IMF, they're worse than the IMF, right?
You cannot find out how much money they spent on these schools to ready them for COVID. You cannot find out how much money they spent to build the hospital in St. Lucie. You cannot find how much money they spent to repair A&E. You cannot trace a cent that these people spent during COVID. And they had us under this legislation unjustifiably for a long period of time so that they could continue the raid of our treasury. On top of that, flying all over the world to borrow all types of money from the IMF, who's running Barbados, the IADB, who can bring a computer science test to molest the minds of God's children. And then a minister could get her and say she's not stepping down and resigning. They are showing you who they are. Believe it. Believe yourselves. Believe what you see.
Correct. That's right.
So I am saying to you, the people of Barbados, we are being robbed on all fronts. We are being robbed financially. We are being robbed of our democracy. We are being even robbed of the right to live at peace in Barbados. Check the amount of murders that happened in Barbados since this government came in. Shooting after shooting after shooting after shooting. Look at the response coming up from the government on crime. Every day, somebody's being shot. I don't see white boys being shot in Barbados. I don't see Muslim Indian boys being shot in Barbados. So what's happening in Barbados? There is no such thing as hope. There's no such thing as a better tomorrow right now in Barbados. Once upon a time you could have said, the next 3 years I'm going to be here. The next 4 years I'm going to be here. You can't even wake up tomorrow and say that I got a full cupboard of food. The fridge looking scanty. Check the prices in the supermarket. The government rolled out a social compact they had with the private sector. They're so confused that another government minister came and said they never stuck with it. On Thursday they came back and said they're no longer going to continue this compact. Which means that they for sure don't care nothing about you. They for sure don't care nothing about ease in your pockets. Every central bank report you hear the governor coming out. Well, you know, we've reached high levels of revenue. The inflation dividend is really working for us. Gas tax, land tax, sewage tax, taxes at the airport. I'm hearing now they're charging you at the hospital for services. Did you know that this government collected the highest levels of tax revenue ever in the history of Barbados? Do you know what is $650 million that they made in surplus? There's profit, $650 million in profit of tax collection since 2018 every year, and this is per year. Every year they made $650 million off of you, and still went and borrowed $4 billion in debt from the IMF and other people. The big thing was that we had the cheapest money in town. The cheapest money in town, we now have to repay 400% more than how we started. So it was never cheap. Either they don't understand what they were doing or they were deceiving us. So I will ask you one more time, I'll say it to you one more time, believe who they are. So we continue to experience the deception, we continue to experience the lies, and because we may not have a stable opposition, people are saying, don't bring back church love because the other parties ain't going to act together. Y'all need to realize that ordinary voters have the power. Our representation does not come down to any political party, BLP or DLP. Anybody in Barbados can go and pay $250 and run an election in Barbados. So we need to return the right of representation to the people. So these corporate drones, as Caswell said, are sitting in the parliaments of Barbados, double dealing and colluding with international organizations and people to continue rob and fleece the taxpayers of this country, all for the personal advancement of some, because some in the cabinet ain't got no personal advancement after this. This is the end of the road for so many of them, because it wasn't about them either. Their greed and their selfishness is causing them to follow somebody they know in their hearts is not good for Barbados. So I am asking the people of this country to believe what you see. Read for yourselves and understand that you've been deceived and bedazzled by bright red and the brilliance of speech.
Karaoke and fish fries.
Picnic, free alcohol.
Parties.
We need to rise above that type of transactional politics in Barbados.
That's right.
I send a firm message to politicians
And all who intend to come. And all who intend to come.
that this type of politics was yesteryear, and that the mirror image that we have of ourselves as Barbadians is for the advancement of all classes in Barbados, for the development of youth, for the protection of the elderly,
Orphan. Disadvantage. Yes.
and that we the people again will represent ourselves in the parliament of this country. So I thank our God above for these showers of blessing. I thank you all for giving me your ear, and I can assure you that this breath of fresh air and this wind of fresh air represents the change that is going to come in Barbados. 30 in, 30 out. Thank you.